Hello and welcome to my channel where today I am making Clarendon House as part of my series of houses through the ages. I just want to quickly say that I am not an historian nor am I an architect. I'm doing this series for a bit of fun, to perhaps to learn something new and to learn a little bit more about the houses and the buildings that surround me as I live in London. So I apologise if I make a mistake or say something wrong or have trouble pronouncing something. I did do a lot of research on this, but I apologise if I make any mistakes. So, like I said, I am making Clarendon House as part of my series of houses through the ages, as this house was built during the Stuart period, which lasted for 111 years. And if anything and everything could happen during this time, it happened. So, the Stuart period nearly went off with a massive bang with the gunpowder plot. This plot, as we all know, did not go to plan, as one of the conspirators wrote an anonymous letter to their brother-in-law not to attend the opening of Parliament on the 5th of November. Remember the 5th of November. The members of the plot were arrested and taken to the Tower, where they were probably tortured to quite some extent, some of which died, but the rest were sentenced to death, including hanging, drawing and quartering. Some of you may know it more as hung, drawn and quartered, which is a very grisly and gruesome death. All of this happened during the reign of James I, who reigned from 1603 to 1625. Inigo Jones, he was a surveyor for James I, which led him to build a residence at Greenwich for the Queen, which is known as the Queen's House. Inigo Jones was one of the first to be inspired by Roman antiquity and the Italian Renaissance. He also introduced neoclassical architecture. Other examples of his work include the Banqueting House, Queen's Chapel, Hertford House and many more. Then we have Charles I, who reigned between 1625 until his execution in 1649. During his reign there was an English civil war that went from 1642 and 1651. It was between parliamentarians, also known as the Roundheads, and the Royalists, which are also known as the Cavaliers, and it was about the manner of England's governance. So, Charles I is now dead, along with Inigo Jones, who died in 1652, so it moves on to Oliver Cromwell. He was in power between 1653 to 1658. Although the British monarchy was abolished and a republic called the Commonwealth of England was declared in 1649. The architect's style for this time was the modern French or Italian style. One of the architects that popped up around this time was Sir Roger Pratt, who is the architect for Clarendon House, which we are building here. Pratt drew on a range of European influences as well as the work of Inigo Jones. This included rows of new style sash windows, hipped roof, dormer windows and tall chimney stacks. So, moving on to Richard Cromwell, who was third son of Oliver Cromwell. He didn't last long, as he was in power from 1658 to 1659. So we now have the Restoration era with Charles II, who reigned between 1660 until his death in 1685. Some of you may know him as the Party King, the king that will back partying. I absolutely love that program. I know it wasn't aimed at me. I think it may have been aimed at primary school children, but I absolutely horrible histories. I may have been at a secondary school at the time, but I absolutely loved it, and it didn't stop me from watching it, even if it was aimed at primary school children, because I learned quite a bit from that. So anyway, during his reign we have a little thing called the Great Plague of London and the Great Fire of London. The Great Fire of London lasted from Sunday the 2nd of September to Thursday the 6th of September. The old St. Paul's Cathedral was burnt down, the lead on the roof melted and poured onto the street like a river. 1/5 of London was left standing, and surprisingly, only 6 people had died. So all this started because there was a fire in a bakery in Pudding Lane. Architecture at this time was quite opulent and quite flamboyant and fancy, with ornate columns. The architect that popped up during this time was a man called Sir Christopher Wren, who blended Renaissance, Italian, Baroque, and contemporary French influences. Quickly, just going back to Sir Roger Pratt, some of the other buildings that he built were Coal Hill House and Royston Hall. But going back to Sir Christopher Wren, some of his buildings include lots of churches, the Monument of the Great Fire London, Kensington Palace, and the Royal Observatory in Greenwich, and of course many more. After the Great Fire of London, working class houses were rebuilt according to regulations to be made from bricks. So we are quickly moving forward during the Stuart period and moving on to James II, who was the brother of Charles II, and again he didn't last long. He reigned between 1685 to 1689. Wren was still working for the king, working on renovating St. Paul's Cathedral and Belton House, which is very, very, extremely similar to Clarendon House. It's a bit like playing Spot the Difference. It is very, very similar. Anyway, moving on to William and Mary. They reigned until 1689 till 1694. Many country homes popped up during this time. Wren was still going and started to renovate Hampton Court in a Baroque style. So we're now going to move on to William III, 1694 to 1702. Mary, she died, and so work on Hampton Court ceased. The Baroque style was still very popular, and so we're going to move on to Queen Anne, 1702 to 1714. Houses were very symmetrical with rows of windows, but the fancy and flamboyant look kind of died down, and then we move on to the Georgian period, which will be the next video in this series. So, you may be thinking there are hundreds upon hundreds of houses that I could have chosen to make for this video, but I've chosen to go with Clarendon House because it felt like it had a bit of a story to it. The bloke who lived in it, he was quite important to the Stuart era, and it looked like something I could build with the packs that I had, because I was very, very, very tempted to get Discover University, because I have noticed whilst watching some of the reviews on the build by items, there are items in there that look kind of similar to the items that you would normally find in the Stuart period. I was very, very close to buying that. I kind of sat there for a couple of minutes kind of looking at it, and then looking at my bank account, then looking at the screen, then looking at my bank account, enough to sort of get the attention of my dad to ask me, going, "Are you okay?" I was like, yeah, no, I'm fine, I'm just thinking. And so I didn't get Discover University. I went with Clarendon House, and I am very happy with it. I hope you like it as well. I spent a very long time on everything for this, So please like and subscribe. I did spend a very long time on everything to do with this, the research, the voiceover, the building, and just everything to do with it. So anyway, Clarendon House. Clarendon House was built by Roger Pratt. It was a town mansion which stood on Piccadilly in London. It was built for the politician Edward Hyde, 1st Earl of Clarendon. Edward Hyde was an English statesman who served as Lord Chancellor to Charles II, who was the party king. He also served as the Chief Minister after 1660. Clarendon House was the grandest private London residence of its era. It was demolished, unfortunately, in 1683, so you can no longer visit this place, although you can visit Belton's house, I think it's called. I can't find it yet. I think you can visit Belton's house, which is still here. Yeah, Belton's, you can still visit Belton House because, like I said, it is very similar to Clarendon House. So if you want to see what it could have looked like, then go to Belton's house. Edward Hyde's granddaughter was Mary II of England, who married William. So that is why I built this house, because, like I said, there was sort of like a story / purpose to this build, but unfortunately, like I said, it was demolished in 1683. What I can gather, it was demolished because they want to develop. I don't know. There's not much information on Clarendon House. The image that I was looking at was basically a drawing, but I think I did a really good job with the packs that I had. Like I said, I did not go ahead and buy Discover University, which does have a lot of items that would suit and go along with the Stuart period. I do want to say I decided not to I decided to split this house up into apartments. I didn't fancy doing the layout for this house, and it just sort of like screamed for me to become apartments. I also decided not to decorate the interior of this house as a Stuart interior, just because I was mainly focusing on the architecture for this build. And so I've just gone ahead and decorated these apartments. There are 4 apartments. They are decorated all kind of similar but kind of different. I tried to go for more sort of like fancier, trying to keep that fancy opulence of this time. So I did try to keep along with that. They're kind of similar, they're kind of not similar. It's a bit for oxymoron in what I'm saying. But you'll see they all kind of have the same dining table and the same layout. There are 4 of them. The 2 downstairs are the 2-bedroom apartments. The 2 upstairs are only 1-bed apartments. They share a garden. You don't see the garden. You don't see me doing the garden. I will take pictures of the garden. It's just because I was noticing that this was taking a very long time to build. I know the shape itself is quite simple, but I was struggling to find windows and exterior paint that was quite similar. Bearing in mind I was basing this off a picture. I'll pop up a picture on screen so you can see what I was basing this off of. The reason why I went for a big kind of home like this instead of like a home that the masses would have been living in was because I was struggling to find any information on what the masses would have been living in, and I was kind of getting anxious of building something for the Stuart period, because I don't want to build something that someone would say, oh no, that's not it, that's not the Stuart period, you got it wrong. And so I thought, let's just keep it safe and build something that I know was built during this period and built by one of the architects that popped up during this time, and one of the architects that was quite prominent during this time. So I went for a bigger house because I thought that was a safer option than building a house that the masses were living in. Because I did find one house online. It was on what they're called. I've been speaking for so long. What they're called, estate agent. I did find a house on a estate agent website. It did say it dated back to the Stuart period, the 17th century, but I didn't build it because, like I said, I don't want someone saying that's not it, you got it wrong, because during that time people would have extended and put on top of that build. They I know now if you want to extend a period home, you have to make it look completely different to the style that you're attaching it to. So for example, if you want to attach something onto a Tudor build, for example, the extension, it's got to be completely modern. But I was just worried that in the past they probably extended it and tried to make it look like the original bit of the house. So that is why I decided not to go for a house for the masses, because there is little to no information that I couldn't find on houses for the masses. And like I said, I was getting kind of anxious that someone was going to say, no, that's not it. And so I just thought, let's just do something safe and just pick one, or pick one of the buildings from either Inigo Jones, Roger Pratt, or Sir Christopher Wren. And so I knew that one of those builds were definitely built during the Stuart period. Despite that, I did check up several times. It was this house was definitely built during the Stuart period. Because I was kind of anxious building this because I didn't want to upset anybody. So that is why I have gone for a bigger house. I apologise if some of you were expecting this to be one ginormous home, but when I was building this, I thought this will be great as apartments. Some older builds do turn out to be apartments. And also I've never built apartments. I built like penthouses and decorated apartments inside my Juno, but never built something from the ground up and made it into apartments. So I thought that was something nice to do. So I'm just doing the first apartment here. Since Christmas is coming, I do put in some Christmas decorations. When it comes out of Christmas, of course, you can just put them away. Also, I do put in every single apartment a laundry room. Like I said, the apartments all have the same layout. But I'm going to leave this part here. I hope you enjoyed listening, and perhaps you learned something new, I don't know. But thank you for listening. I hope you enjoy watching the rest of the video. I hope you like it. I hope you're not disappointed by this, because I'm so sorry if you are. I spent so long on this, I'm so sorry. But anyway, I'm going to leave you guys here, so thank you for listening. I hope you enjoy watching the rest of the video. Please like and subscribe, and please enjoy the rest of your day. Whatever you are doing, just enjoy it and do something that you enjoy. So thank you and goodbye.